Humbling is how University of Cape Town's Vice-Chancellor Mamokgethi Phakeng described her reappointment to a second 5-year term by the institution's council. She spoke exclusively to SABC's Sherwin Bryce-Pease while on a working visit to the United States.
On March 31st, the Council of the University of Cape Town voted to appoint Professor Mamokgethi Phakeng to a second 5-year term as Vice-Chancellor. She then hopped on a plane to the United States on a working visit positioned as an opportunity to update UCT's stakeholders and alumni on developments at the university. So we welcome Professor Mamokgethi Phakeng, aka Fab academic, to the United States and to New York in particular. Good to see you, Prof.
Good to see you too. Thank you so much for welcoming me.
Quite the affirmation from the council, the University Council, to endorse you for the second term. How did that feel?
Humbling mainly because Senate gave me a 78% vote. When I took office, Senate gave me 75%. So it feels like in 4 years I improved 3%. That's not too bad.
It's distinction level.
Humbling because, this is a tough job, and it's a vote of confidence to say we see what we've been trying to do in the last 4 years, right, and we want you to go on doing it for the next 5 years.
I'm glad you say it's a tough job because there has been some incoming. It hasn't been plain sailing. So I wonder, what sort of lessons do you take from your first term into your second term? You know, what does term 2 look like that doesn't perhaps resemble what you did in the first 5?
You know, nobody teaches you to be VC. No one. And no one's got the script. It's the toughest job. And if you are VC of UCT, it's even worse because you VC of the leading team on the continent. And so the second term comes in with experience. Now I have an idea how to be VC. I had no idea. And frankly speaking, people celebrate when you are appointed. And I often talk about what the celebration is even bigger when you're a black woman because you're seen as a solution. And many people forget how things were when I took office. The university was in constant protests, shut down. Let me not just say protests, shut down. No year for 3 years before I took office. There were academic days that were lost to protest. And so my first task, I felt that my first task is to stabilize the university, and I did that. And it wasn't easy. So it was to set up a different way of engaging with different constituencies in the university, right, making them feel that the university is theirs and only them can make it successful. Everyone feeling that way. And I think when you do that, it's always difficult because the people who have always felt that the university is theirs, they feel like they're losing something. It's almost like a distribution of privilege. And the distribution of privilege is hard because people feel like they're losing something even though they're not. So I think the second term, the task would make people feel that I need to work harder in making the staff members in particular feel that they're losing nothing. Each one of them is getting something when the university becomes more united. The university community focuses on creating sustainable success for the university.
Let me just point out to our viewers that sound of sirens is not for the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Cape Town. It's a very common background noise in New York City. UCT Council Chair Babawa Ngonyama said after your confirmation that there needs to be a wider vision for financial sustainability in the face of ever-diminishing public funding. No doubt part of why you are in the United States, right? What do some of those conversations here, stakeholders, alumni, look like in terms of the external funding you're seeking?
You know, the big thing is that it is much easier to talk to the UCT community outside South Africa when the university is going well, when people feel that there's stability and we are succeeding. So I'm here to update them, to say, here's what happened during COVID, here's what we did, here's what we achieved despite the challenges, and here's why we need you to go on supporting us, or if you haven't started, to start supporting your alma mater, and to say to the donors, this is worth supporting, not just for UCT, not just for South Africa, but for the continent, because we need top universities on the continent. So it's to assure them and to keep them up to date, because when you're far away, you don't really have the detail of what's going on. So I'm here to give that a picture.
Look, and we appreciate Zoom, but Zoom can only do so much, right?
Absolutely.
The university's Vision 2030, Prof, which is the strategic plan of UCT over the next 8 years, coincides with, of course, the Sustainable Development Goals,
Absolutely.
which, I'm based at the United Nations, so I like the symbiotic nature of that. What is your thinking in terms of what this institution will look like in the future? You talk about a sustainable university.
Yep.
What is a sustainable university?
Yep. So our vision is basically focused on, I mean, you think that we looked at the Sustainable Development Goals and said, this is what is it, what we're going to work on. So we have a massive transformative purpose, which is unleash human potential for a fair and just society.
Okay.
And the vision is anchored around the 3 pillars of excellence, transformation, and sustainability. And the idea is that if we drive excellence with transformation together, we will create sustainability. Sustainability, social sustainability, financial sustainability, and environmental sustainability. And we cannot do that if the university continues to work, for example, in silos. The workers, cleaners, gardeners separately from academics, from support staff, from students. So one of the big projects that we launched in the university in the last year is Kusela Ikamva, Secure Our Future. And it's a sustainability project that brings, that's usually we have projects that are only for academics. The other people are just there to work. But it brings all constituencies together to work to build a sustainability, a campus sustainability project because the idea is to get a gardener feeling committed to sustainability as much as a student should, as much as an academic should. And academics not only focusing on research, but making our campus a living lab. And that's what we create. And it's one of the it's the first of the big projects, Kusela Ikamva, and it's funded by the VC's strategic projects. We're hoping to get strategic funding. We're hoping to get more funding into this, but we started with 5 years. But the future is that to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, we cannot do that in silos.
Yeah.
We can't do that in silos as countries. We can't do that in silos as communities or as professions and so on. But also in a campus, we can't do that as
No, you need
separate.
cohesion. You need all branches. When you look at government, you need all branches of government to work.
Yes.
In a city, you need various sectors to work together to the same goal.
Yeah, and we want to create that on campus so that everyone feels that it's their dream. It's the future that they want to create, that they want to see.
Prof, let me ask you this. Your trip to the United States comes at a time of particular global flux and uncertainty around the world. The war in Ukraine has laid bare geopolitical differences of old and new. Climate disruption, we're talking about sustainability, is ever present. The global financial architecture is not necessarily meeting the moment, particularly post the COVID or during this pandemic. We have economies in many developing countries that are not keeping pace with the numbers of graduates that universities and institutions like the ones you run are presenting. So how do these real issues, right, inform what you do within the campus walls?
It informs what we do because we want graduates who are able to cope in that kind of world, the world of uncertainty. And to prepare graduates for that kind of a world doesn't only take making sure that they are well schooled in the technical and scientific subjects, but also able to hold their own in the world. But it also means that they have to think entrepreneurially, problem solving, critical thinking. What do they do if they find a situation that they don't understand? And that's why for us at UCT, student entrepreneurship is one of the big things that we are driving.
South Africa needs small businesses.
Exactly. But we're driving it in this way that even if you're not going to run your own business, you've got to think like an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur looks at solutions for problems that they find. They don't see a problem and they think, oh, somebody else must find it. They see it as an opportunity and they try to find a solution to that. So even if they get employed, we're hoping that they will grow those companies that they are employed in. If they work in the municipality, then they will do good. They will think entrepreneurially rather than thinking selfishly. It's not about them only, it's about the world that they live in. So that's the kind of graduate that we're looking to produce.
And boy,
here.
don't South African municipalities need people with a lot of skills.
Absolutely.
So UCT as you well know, has this global brand, right?
Yes.
The top-ranked university in Africa. The latest ranking was received, as you pointed out at the time, when it was grappling with the negative effects of COVID-19, the impacts of 2 UCT fires. Before that, as you mentioned earlier, we had fees must fall. So if anything, this first term of yours has been quite an induction to what university leadership is about, right? How has that reshaped your thinking in terms of how we deliver excellent tertiary education in South Africa?
You know, it's really that the world is like that. I mean, I think what we've experienced at UCT, the things that you didn't mention. I mean, the fees must fall, Mayosi passing, you know, the fire, and you win and a murder. So there's every year, actually, since I got to UCT, there's been a major crisis, and it's said, you know, for me, it's said, you know, we might think it's the crisis of now, but actually that's what the world is. We really don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I mean, we didn't know when 2020 started. We didn't know that we'll be in lockdown in 3 months, and we had to cope with it. And I think from now on, even with higher education, we shouldn't get stuck in our old ways. You know, we've got to know that what we've always known to work will not necessarily always work. And so we've got to be open to change, to thinking anew the things that we've always done in a particular way. I mean, the way we've offered degrees over the years is not always going to work.
No, I agree.
We've got to think differently. You know, the way our graduates have taken on to universities, our students, high school graduates have taken on to universities, it's not going to be the same again. They're going to demand different things from us. And so we've got to be open to that, think ahead, and be agile. Universities are known for not being so agile, being stuck in our own ways. And for me, it says we've got to be open-minded. And that's why during COVID, we launched the online high school. Because you can't be stuck in your old ways, thinking that will never happen in a country such as South Africa. And it's amazing what it's doing right now.
Tell me about the progress since the fires. Can you update us? I mean, it was H.M. Pearson, Fuller and Jagger library buildings. What's recovery looking like? Well,
all the buildings that needed repair, we've repaired them. The biological sciences building has been repaired. Fuller, former Smarts, all of those 3 are repaired, and they are functioning right now. And what we've done with the Jagger, which is a big project, is that we've put a temporary roof, and we are busy right now in the Imaginarium. And what we're trying to do is to imagine the future of the Jagger, reimagine the Jagger, so that we don't just do exactly a replica of the past. Obviously, the pillars will be there. There will be the past. There's the past that we want to continue with, but we want something to come out of that that tells us where we have been, but also where we're going. And that's what we're working on right now.
Maybe the engineers at Parliament are also watching.
Yes, I hope so. They can call us. We can
call you tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Final question for you. You've been here now a few days. What do you take home with you?
Wow, the conference that I was at in San Diego was a very interesting conference. Young people, entrepreneurs who are working on edtech, venture capitalists, academics. But what it said to me is that the world is moving much faster. All right, and also what we are doing as UCT with the online high school is needed by the world. It's not just a need for South Africa and Africa, it's needed by the world. We had a panel where we discussed what we're doing with the online high school, the model that we are doing, and the problem that we're trying to solve. And people came to us and said, we need this in the US, we need this. So it gave me even much more energy that in 5 to 8 years, that will be the largest online high school in the world.
Wow.
I'm definitely sure about that. And not only that, I mean, I can see that it will produce a lot of success, because the success is in the model. It's not only in the fact that it's online, it's how we structured, how we built it from ground up. the pedagogy, and precisely the problem that we're trying to solve to make sure that children don't go on to the next topic when there's gaps with the past, that we deal with that, and when they move on, they've covered that we give personalized attention, even if it's online, and that children are coached, and there's so I really I look forward to the next one. Before my term ends, please call me, and then we'll talk about how it's going, because I'm definitely sure that that's confidence for us as an African institution. Yes, as an African institution, yeah, because no one has done it in the way that we've done it in the world, and the affirmation that we got at that conference was absolutely encouraging.
Well, may the wind remain at your back. It's so good to see you. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Fab academic, aka Mamokgethi Phakeng, speaking to us here in New York on the sidelines of her alumni and stakeholder engagement visit to the United States, as she now embarks on her second term as Vice-Chancellor of the University of Cape Town, a second 5-year term underway.